Welcome back to the I Am Passionate podcast, everybody, and Merry Christmas. I hope you all have an amazing day. I understand that not everyone celebrates Christmas, regardless if you celebrate Christmas or not. I hope you all have an amazing day. And I know the holidays are not the easiest for, some people. I hope, all of you have the opportunity to do something that you enjoy today. So, really, just to kind of hit the ball rolling, I'm recording this at about 10 a.m. on Christmas Day. Had to do it a bit earlier just because there's NFL football today. But we aren't going to talk about the NFL football right away. My last episode did really, really well with two topics, so we're going to try to keep the two topics episodes going. And so, last episode, I talked about some of my favorite anime in 2024. This episode, we're also going to talk about the video games I played a lot in 2024. So, something I've talked a lot about on my podcast and my YouTube channel being My Hero Ultra Rumble. It's still a really, really fun game. I don't play it as much as when it had came out. My friend Kevin had, showed me the game, which, I talked about that before. I think I was playing a little bit yesterday. Yeah, I was playing a little bit yesterday. I probably played for about half an hour, give or take, which, I mean, depending on how well you play as a team, half an hour could be as few as 2 games or as many as 5 games. I think I played about 3 or 4. We did get a win. I was playing as the default Bakugo, which yeah, no, it's just that game. It's not a chill game anymore. By that I mean it's never really been like you're just trying to play a game, chill out, like just be on auto tune, autopilot. There's never really been that type of game for me that I could just play it like that. But yeah, no, it used to be a game where it's like, okay, maybe I'm getting hunted down by one team. No, I'm getting hunted down by every team these days. And yeah, nah, the Kirishima Quirk set has been out for what, about a week, give or take. At first I wasn't impressed. Like, I don't have it currently, but I've seen like video of it. He's got the movement of like Sonic. He's got that shield. Just because I mean, he's Kirishima. He's got the best defense in among Class 1A, so he deserves something like that. And his last one, what is his last quirk skill? I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, no, I'm fighting against it versus watching a video on it. Two different experiences, which I mean, of course, that makes sense. Um, so we're gonna move on to the next game. I definitely played a lot of college football 25. Um, I my experience playing, like the NCAA games comes from Kevin. Comes from being at school, playing on the original Xbox 360. I said original Xbox 360, playing on the Xbox 360, and I would play NCAA 14, played I think NCAA 12 a couple of times. But that game was really, really fun. College Football 25, I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm in the middle of my second team rebuild. For the first team I picked, my inspiration for it was I wanted to pick a team that was mid. I didn't want to pick a team that was insanely good, but I didn't want to pick a team that was insanely trash. So I picked Duke. I think when it started, because I got it in July, they were about an 80 overall, give or take. Yeah, now we're a legit powerhouse. I play on, and I hate that it sometimes switches from All American to Heisman because I wanted to stay on Heisman, but like let's just say I play like 2 games in a day and I'm done, right? And let's just say I come back a few days later. For some reason, it will have switched from Heisman down to All American, which I'm not sure if there's some sort of setting that I need to turn off. But my favorite thing about college football, honestly, I think would be the recruiting. It's just really, really fun. Um, and like I'd say the big difference between the recruiting in college football compared to the draft in Madden, Kevin had said it to me and it said it perfectly. In Madden, you're probably going to only really get one, maybe 2 people that you can use. Don't get me wrong, you can trade for some picks, which that can work out for you. But you're not going to pick that many high people. You're going to have a good pick in the draft to be able to get more people that you can use. But depending on your team in college football, everyone that you could recruit can, for the most part, have a substantial role on your team. Um, I'm in the middle of my second rebuild. I don't have all of my time devoted to it yet, but I picked the University of Louisiana in Monroe. Yeah, this one's tough, even though I only have one ranked team on my schedule at Texas. All I'll really say about that is they put BTA. They really did. I'm thinking that it's gonna be bad, but not as bad as it was. But yeah, no, it was bad. It was bad. But I will say, the first quarter was scoreless. After the first quarter, the floodgates opened. The floodgates opened. And so, really, the last game I played a lot of this year, it's two games, Zombies. I don't have Black Ops 6 Zombies at the time of this recording, so I played a lot of Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. Um, so I'm just gonna really talk about my favorite maps of Zombies in general. Number one is Origins. I think it's the best map ever made, and I'm aware with Black Ops 6. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Okay, I'm gonna count to three in my head real quick before I say the spoiler. All right, I counted the three. I'm aware that they are going to make essentially an Origins 2.0 for Black Ops 6, and it hasn't been confirmed as to when it would come out yet. But I'm hoping it'll be pretty good. I don't want it to exactly be Origins, but as long as it plays very similar to Origins, I'm cool with that. But I think the original Origins, I think it's the perfect level of challenging and fun with building the staffs. Ironically, in Black Ops 2, I would never try to upgrade a staff. I just was too scared to always try. But Black Ops 3, every time I play, whether it's I'm playing solo or I'm playing with like my brother, or if I'm playing with Kevin, I will upgrade the ice staff, the fire staff, and the lightning staff. I don't go for the wind staff. I just don't like the process of building it. By that I mean going to like all the robots and whatnot, and having to shoot the right foot to go inside the robot. Yeah, I just don't like the process for it. My favorite staff to use is definitely the ice staff, which a lot of people I've been watching some videos, some old videos, they seem to not like, which I'm like thinking that's crazy. They just don't know how to use the ice staff. Because I will say though that how they were using the ice staff, it's not as straight because um they were coming from the area where you would pick up the staffs trying to fight to get out. That's not what the ice staff is for, in my opinion. The best staff, if you're in that situation to grab and then get out, it's probably going to be the fire staff. The lightning staff's not going to be a bad option, but I feel like the fire staff's going to be a better one. The ice staff I feel like is better if you're, kind of like not in a corner. So that means you can, freeze a bunch of the zombies, and it works better for when you're out in space, in my opinion. Next favorite being Mob of the Dead. We've got a lot of memories playing Mob of the Dead. The Blunder Gat being my all-time favorite zombie shotgun. The Acid Gat and also the Magma Gat in Black Ops 4. Um, and also, I remember doing the Easter egg, with my siblings at the time. Uh, that was really fun. I just think it's a really good map. I remember the Tomahawk, the Hell's Redeemer. Great weapon. I've never tried getting the golden spork or golden spork knife. Never tried it. I don't think I ever will. Another map that I just love to this day, is Buried. I have so many memories playing that with my brother, playing with some of my friends on Black Ops 2. The first memory that comes to mind is with my friend Calvin. And so we probably were 13, 14 years old at the time, and there's a bank system. So like doesn't matter, you could have a ton of points on Buried. Let's just say I had 50,000 points. And before the game is over, I can go load the 50,000 points in the bank. And so that the next time I play it, I can, just if I need to open up doors, I can just go to the bank, withdraw, like 20,000 points, and then just go from there. So I just remember every time that Calvin would come over, if we would play buried, we would, I would go to the bank, I would take some of the money out, and I would give it to him. And he's like, Jaron, are you gonna run out? I'm like, nah, man, I'm the best player in the game. I'm not gonna run out. And then, as I was trying to withdraw money, thinking I'm doing it, Calvin looks over at me and says, Jaron, you're not withdrawing any money. I'm like, oh shit, I ran out of money. um, I remember always locking the box. I remember being stuck in the maze a couple times. Um, I was younger, but yeah, no, I just think it was really really cool, and yeah, no, I think that map would be a really really fun remaster for the map, and I do still, well, it's in my brother's possession, but I do got to get my get back because me and him tried to play it like a year or two ago. Yeah, no, it just was not my day, so I got to get my get back eventually. And really, the last one, just Call of the Dead. I love the scavenger. George Romero, it just had the perfect vibes. Yeah, killing George Romero in the game, that was difficult. It was really, really was. But I just think it was the perfect map. I mean, I don't remember the location exactly, but I mean, they're trying to film a movie, so we'll just call it, a horrible movie setting gone wrong. Because I mean, that describes it exactly. And then briefly, I'm just gonna talk about Black Ops 4 Zombies because I didn't really play it when the game had come out, but I played a lot of it, over the last, we'll say, month, 2 months. I'll talk about some of my general thoughts. Blood of the Dead is not a bad map, it's just not amazing. I mean, for what it is on its own, it's a decent map. I still don't like that Black Ops 4 took out Juggernog. I mean, they tried to do like their own thing, which I can respect that. The storyline behind the map is pretty cool. I have not done the Easter egg. I probably never will do the Easter egg, not because I'm saying like that it's bad. It's just I'm probably not going to be able to ever do the Easter egg for that map solo, to be honest with you. Another map, 9, amazing map. 9 in Voyage of Despair. My brother and Kevin, we all played, and basically, um, we went in blind. We just kind of were playing, doing as best as we could. Um, and we found out a lot. We weren't 100% sure how to do some of the things on the map, like how to activate Pack a Punch, where the shield was, which we kind of just stumbled upon it on our own. But we couldn't replicate the shield as we went on. And my brother, yeah, he had carried. We made it to around like 43. Eventually, I wasn't really trying because like I was bored. But don't get me wrong, I was still like trying. Like I would say I wasn't like like sitting up in my chair trying, if that makes sense. Um, Voyage of Despair, the Titanic map, it's a good map. I just think it's a little too like complicated. Like there's too much going on, if that makes sense. Now, you're probably thinking, how is there not too much going on 9? I think it's because with 9 they do a better job at making it contained, so to speak. And Voyage of Despair just feels all over the place, personally. So I would say not my ranking from 1 to 3, 1 being the best map on Black Ops 4, 3 being the worst. I can only do it with the 3 maps that come with the game. Number 1 being 9, number 2 Blood of the Dead, number 3 being Voyage of Despair. So enough about video games. We're going to talk about football. We've got Christmas Day football. But before I even talk about that, last week with my picks, I was 12-4. My only losses being with the Cardinals, with Panthers, the Bucks with the Cowboys, which I'm still surprised about. The Eagles and the Commanders. Jalen Hurts was knocked out of the game, but I mean, I still think it would have been a close game even if he was able to play. And then the 49ers and Dolphins. But enough about last week. We're talking about the Christmas Day games. We got 2 games, which the scheduling. I mean, as a fan, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that we've had a lot of football in the last 10 days. But if I was an NFL player, I kind of would be pissed if I was on one of these teams because the NFL always talks about player safety. But there's no way playing 3 football games in 10 days is safe for your body. There's no way. So I would not be surprised if the offense today is a little stagnant at times, like if the teams start out a little bit slow. So the Chiefs and Steelers, they are the first game. The Steelers had been looking a little bit off because George Pickens has been hurt, and I do think George Pickens would have made a huge difference if he played against the Ravens. And also to speak about that real quick, my general thoughts of the last week's Ravens game. I was happy just because Ravens beat the Steelers. I've always been talking, a little bit on, mostly off the podcast, that the Ravens and Steelers may be a rivalry, but I'd always just believe that for something to be a rivalry, that both sides have to win. And, I think the NFL fans, they're saying like, oh, you're missing so many players. I'm like you could only play against the people who line up against you, no matter what sport you're playing. And so, yes, a lot of the times that Ravens had some injured players, but they were still in those games. They still could have won. And Steelers, I'm sure they were beat up at the time, and they were beat up, on this past Saturday. But I mean, like the pick six is pretty much what made it out of hand. But I mean, they still could have won. I don't know why Russell Wilson threw that pass, and I'm not saying that like it was 100% boneheaded. It just was not a throw that I think he should have made, and he threw it late, which gave Marlon Humphrey the chance to get the interception and bring it back for 6. But enough about that again. Chiefs and Steelers. I saw a lot that George Pickens was going to be able to play today, and if that is true, I actually will pick the Steelers. Now, it helps the Ravens if the Chiefs win, but I will pick the Steelers just because George Pickens really does help that offense. He does make that offense look completely different. So I will pick the Steelers if George Pickens plays. Come game time and I find out that he's not suiting up, I'm picking the Chiefs. Because I think that defense will be able to handle, the offense that the Steelers do put out. I think George Pickens adds a layer of something you just can't game plan for. Ravens versus Texans. My number one question is Deontay Johnson playing? Because the Texans did sign him. And so I'm curious about it. Would he have had enough time to learn their playbook? I mean, I imagine from a wide receiver position, it's a bit easier if you don't know all the plays because you have CJ Stroud, you have other receivers to tell you what routes to run. And the other thing I'd be interested in is saying, would Deontay Johnson kind of give the Texans a leg up on like, okay, this is what this call means if you hear the Ravens do this, stuff like that. But I do think whether or not Deontay Johnson is playing, I think I would take the Ravens. I think the Ravens pass rush. I think they'll have a decent game today. I think the Ravens need to limit the big plays that Nico Collins will make because Nico Collins, he's a certified dog. And so I think if he makes a impact early, I think it's going to be hard to keep him quiet for 4 quarters. But I think if you limit those plays, I think you'll have a pretty good shot. So moving on to Thursday night, which ironically I'll be going out with my friends Thursday night. I say ironically just because I hope for 2025 stuff like this happens a little bit more. For Bears in Seattle, I'm not sure where the game's being played, but I'm going to have a hot take. Seattle's fighting for a playoff spot. They have not looked as good the past couple of games. I think the Bears will look to end Seattle's season. Give me the Bears. Give me Caleb Williams to have his best game of the season. Saturday's games, which a lot of football this week. A lot of football. We got the Chargers versus the Patriots. Give me the Chargers. We got the Broncos and Bengals. This is arguably the biggest game of the week. Arguably. The Broncos are coming off their loss against the Chargers, I believe, last Thursday night. The Bengals, they're trying to sneak into the playoffs. The Bengals need this win because if they lose, their season's pretty much over. And, the Bengals have been playing, better. They've been, going on a little bit of a run. They've been doing their Aaron Rodgers impression. But I'm going to take the Broncos to end the Bengals season. Pat Surtain has been playing amazing. I saw that his passer rating allowed was like 39.2, which basically for those who don't know what like the passer rating is all that well, I'll just put it to you like this. The moments where the quarterback throws the ball at like the ground to stop the clock? Well, if you did that, your quarterback rating is a 39.1, I believe. So essentially, you have a better quarterback rating Um, Actually, I think I have the numbers mixed up between Pat Surtain and spiking the ball. But this what I do know. You have a better quarterback rating if you spike the ball compared to if you throw the ball at Pat Surtain. That is just incredible to me. He's just having a great season. Give me the Broncos to win the game. I think that defense is going to make enough plays, down the stretch in that game to get them the win. The Cardinals versus the Rams. The Cardinals were at this point, they're just playing spoiler. They lost to the Panthers last week, which I did not expect. I thought they'd play in a weird game. It was not a weird game. I mean, it was an overtime game, so if you want to call it weird, you can. Give me the Rams. I think it's going to be a sloppy game. It's a division game, and they're going to come out against a team they're going to try to end their season. So give me the Rams. And Sunday, not as many games on Sunday. I've got some little comments in here, so make it a little bit funny. Cowboys versus Eagles. Ironically, Micah Parsons last week was saying "F the Eagles," didn't care. It wasn't because the Cowboys needed the Eagles to beat the Commanders last week to keep the Cowboys' playoff hopes alive. That did not happen. And the Cowboys, they went out and won Sunday night, so they took care of business. But I do think the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm not 100% sure if Jalen Hurts would have cleared concussion protocol just yet. But I do think the Eagles are going to be able to handle business, even if Kenny Pickett plays. Yes, you heard that correctly. Even if Kenny Pickett plays, I think their defense is going to be able to, minimize, the Dallas offense, be able to, have, a fighting chance, no matter who's playing quarterback. Now, if it's Jalen Hurts, I think they'll be playing with the lead most of, if not all of the game. Panthers versus Bucks. I think this game's going to be close. Give me the Bucks. They lost against the Cowboys, so they might have choked away their season. But I do think the Bucks will be able to win against the Panthers. The Bucks will be able to get back on track. I do think this is going to be a close game because the last time they met, it was a fight to the finish. The Panthers arguably could have won that game because the Bucks did not play amazing in that game. I think the Panthers will put together another great game. And, I think, next year with how they're building a lot of confidence. And so that next season, if they get the right pieces, they can for real compete. The Jets versus Bills. I have Trap, but not for the reasons you're thinking. I do think the Bills are going to win this game. However, I'm thinking this is a trap because last week Josh Allen did not put up amazing stats. He was, I think, 16 for 29, 154 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 pick. That's from memory because I saw the freaking graphic that was going around a lot and how CBS was omitting the 1 interception from that graphic. So I'm saying trap because I wonder if the Jets defense, if they're going to try to play inspired by that, I mean, to not let Josh Allen run all over them, just do his thing. And so I think if Josh Allen does not have a great game, like if he doesn't throw for a couple of touchdowns, have maybe 200-300 yards, I think it makes MVP cases a little bit harder, especially since, Lamar Jackson against the nationally televised audience beat the Steelers. And then he's playing today on Christmas Day against the Texans, in which I do remember, I think RG3 had said it. Basically, the final Bills opponents do not have good records, but the final Ravens opponents, the Steelers and Texans, they have good records. The Browns, they do not. But, so basically the combined record between the Ravens' last 3 opponents versus the Bills' last 3 opponents, it goes in the Ravens' favor. So I think if Josh Allen wants to get MVP, he has to cement it today. Because I think if it goes down to week 18, I think it's very, very, very close. Because a lot of people, and I think Vegas thinks that Josh Allen is the heavy favorite. But I really think you have to reconsider if Lamar Jackson wins today and if Josh Allen does not put up, let's just say, a good to really good Sunday. Colts versus Giants. I'm going to pick the Colts. I feel like the Giants are going to almost ruin their chances for the number 1 draft pick. I don't know who's going to get it, whether it being Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, who's going to be the number 1 pick. But I think the Giants they're going to show up when you think that they're tanking. So for the next game, we have the Raiders versus the Saints. The Raiders last week, they won, so they worsened their chance at the number 1 pick. I think they're number 6. Give me the Raiders. I think they're going to continue to worsen their draft stock. And the Titans versus Jags. I'm going to pick the Jags, and I think this game is going to, if they have not already reached the point, the Titans are going to search for the next quarterback. This is a quarterback class where you might be able to find somebody. The Dolphins versus the Browns. Give me the Dolphins. I'm not 100% sure if they're still fighting for a playoff spot, but I think they're still going to come out and play some decent football. Packers versus Vikings. Give me the Vikings. This is another game of the week type of thing, and this is what can ruin the Vikings' number 1 seed chance, because if the Vikings win this game, then they'll have the chance to play the Lions for the number 1 seed. But I think this is going to be a good game regardless. I think it's going to go down to the wire. Give me the Vikings. I think Jordan Love is going to throw a late game interception, which hurts the Packers. And it'd be one of those, all the Vikings need is a field goal to win the game. Slowly wrapping up, we have the Falcons versus Commanders on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to pick the Commanders to win this game. I do think the Falcons have a pretty good shot. If Michael Penix plays well, which his debut, that pick he threw, that literally should be taken off of his stat sheet, because Kyle Pitts quite literally fumbled the bag. That should not be held against Michael Pitts. I call mine their names. Should be held against Michael Penix. Like, literally, the NFL needs to determine, is like, okay, you threw it straight. Michael Penix threw it straight to the defense. That's a pick on his fault. Michael Penix had his receiver bobble it, and then it was picked. That's not entirely his fault. That's just crazy to me. But I think it'll be a good game. But give me the Commanders. They're trying to play for playoff seeding. Lions versus 49ers. You asked me at the beginning of this year, I thought this would have been an amazing game. You ask me now, I'm saying the Lions run with it. Give me the Lions by a couple of scores. Easy. But that's pretty much it for football this week. I'm not going to talk about college football playoffs just because I didn't really plan for it. But all I really have to say about the college football playoffs is a lot of people are mad because of some of the blowouts. But I may not be the biggest college football fan, but even I know that blowouts in college football playoffs, it's happened before. So the fact that it's happened this time, I think people are overreacting. I think people need to give it some time. I think if this entire playoffs for the college football is a stinker, then okay, you have every right to, feel some type of way toward it. Not to say that you don't, but at least if every game is a blowout, what you're saying is even that more credible. That's what I was aiming towards. But regardless, I just want to thank you all for watching this episode. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you all enjoy your day. And for those who celebrate, Merry Christmas.